In 1922, beneath the scorching sands of Egypt's Valley of the Kings, archaeologist Howard Carter pressed his chisel against an ancient doorway sealed for more than 3,000 years. He worked slowly, cautiously, as dust spilled into the flickering torchlight. At last, he made a small hole. Carter leaned forward, holding a candle to the gap, and peered into the darkness beyond. Behind him, his patron, Lord Carnarvon, waited in ancient silence. "Can you see anything?" he asked. Carter's reply would become one of the most famous lines in history. "Yes, wonderful things." After years of relentless searching, Carter had uncovered the tomb of the boy king Tutankhamun, a burial chamber sealed for over 3 millennia and packed with treasures beyond imagination. It remains the greatest archaeological discovery of all time. But triumph came with a sinister shadow. Within months, Carnarvon was dead. Others soon followed. Some fell to bizarre accidents, others to sudden illness, and the world became convinced that Carter's team had awakened something ancient and vengeful. It was called the Curse of the Pharaohs. Was it myth, born of superstition and sensational headlines, or did Carter's discovery truly unleash a deadly curse from the sands of Egypt? Howard Carter had staked his life's work on finding the lost tomb of Tutankhamun. Most experts dismissed the boy pharaoh as insignificant, his reign short, his memory nearly erased from history. By the early 1920s, archaeologists believed the Valley of the Kings had already given up its secrets. Dozens of tombs had been uncovered, most already plundered long before modern archaeologists arrived. But Carter remained stubbornly convinced. He had spent 5 fruitless years digging under the patronage of Lord Carnarvon, a wealthy English aristocrat whose patience and money were running dangerously thin. By 1922, Carnarvon was ready to give up. Only Carter's passionate plea won him a final season of excavation. That November, Carter's workers uncovered a step carved into the bedrock. As they dug further, they revealed a staircase leading downward to a sealed doorway, stamped with royal insignia. Carter had found something no one thought possible: an undisturbed royal tomb. When Carnarvon rushed from England to witness the find, they cleared a rubble-filled passageway and uncovered a second sealed door. It was here that Carter made his tiny breach, and as his eyes adjusted to the dim light, he saw golden chariots, carved statues of animals, strange shrines, and treasure glinting everywhere. The world erupted when news spread. Egypt, long romanticized as the land of pharaohs and mysteries, had yielded its greatest prize. By February 1923, when the burial chamber itself was opened, Tutankhamun's golden sarcophagus was revealed. The discovery transformed Carter and Carnarvon into global celebrities, their names forever tied to a triumph of history and archaeology. But as the celebrations reached their height, tragedy struck, and the legend of a curse was born. The curse claimed its first and most famous victim almost immediately. In March 1923, Lord Carnarvon was bitten on the cheek by a mosquito in Cairo. When shaving, he accidentally nicked the wound. What seemed trivial quickly turned lethal. The bite became infected, sepsis spread through his body, and pneumonia took hold. By April 5th, just weeks after standing inside the burial chamber, Carnarvon was dead at age 56. The strange coincidences surrounding his death fueled whispers of something darker. At the very moment of his passing, Cairo was suddenly plunged into a blackout, and in England, Carnarvon's beloved dog let out a piercing howl and collapsed, dead. The press seized the story with ferocity. Newspapers worldwide splashed headlines about a pharaoh's curse striking down the tomb's intruders. Famed author Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the creator of Sherlock Holmes, suggested that Carnarvon had been killed by supernatural elementals, spiritual guardians set to protect Tutankhamun. The story was irresistible. Within weeks, the curse of the pharaohs had become a global obsession. Carnarvon's death was not the last. In the years that followed, more deaths would be linked, some tenuously, others chillingly close. George J. Gould, a wealthy American industrialist, toured the tomb in 1923. He soon developed a sudden fever and died of pneumonia shortly after returning home. Sir Archibald Douglas Reed, a radiologist who had agreed to examine Tutankhamun's mummy with x-rays, died in 1924 of a mysterious illness before he ever began his work. Arthur Mace, a trusted member of Carter's team who helped open the burial chamber, fell gravely ill and died in 1928. Then there was Richard Bethel, Carter's personal secretary. In 1929, he was found smothered to death in his bed at an exclusive London club. The very next year, his father, Lord Westbury, threw himself from a building. In his final note, he wrote, "I cannot stand any more horrors." The deaths spread outward, touching even those only loosely connected. Prince Ali Kamel Fahmy Bey of Egypt, who had visited the tomb, was shot dead by his wife. Carnarvon's own half-brother, Aubrey Herbert, died of blood poisoning within months of Carnarvon himself. And perhaps most unsettling of all was the case of archaeologist Hugh Evelyn White. Terrified after watching colleague after colleague die, he believed he was doomed. In 1924, he ended his life, leaving behind a note written in his own blood. "I have succumbed to a curse which forces me to disappear." By the end of the decade, newspapers claimed as many as 26 deaths were connected to the tomb. Though many of these links were exaggerated, the narrative was too powerful to resist. To the public, the pattern was undeniable. Those who disturbed Tutankhamun paid the price. Yet for every claim of a curse, skeptics pointed to science. One explanation was deadly mold. Tombs sealed for millennia could harbor bacteria and spores, particularly Aspergillus niger and Aspergillus flavus, molds capable of causing fatal lung infections. Lord Cavernon, already weakened from years of poor health, would have been an easy target. Another possibility was toxic gas. Some researchers believe that carbon dioxide, ammonia, or even hydrogen sulfide could have built up in the sealed chambers. Theories have also suggested radon gas, produced by radioactive decay in the granite walls, might have poisoned those who lingered too long underground. Historians also point out the role of the press. Newspapers thrived on sensationalism, weaving together unrelated deaths to create a narrative of doom. In reality, many who entered the tomb lived long lives. Lady Evelyn Herbert, Carnarvon's daughter, lived into her 70s despite being among the first to set foot inside. And the most important example of all, Howard Carter himself. If the curse were real, surely the man who uncovered Tutankhamun's tomb should have been the primary victim. Instead, he lived for another 17 years, dying peacefully of natural causes in 1939 at the age of 64. So, was there ever a curse? No inscription in Tutankhamun's tomb threatened intruders. The famous Wings of Death warning often quoted in newspapers was a fabrication, invented to feed the legend. The scientific explanations, infections, toxins, statistical chance are logical and compelling. And yet the story refuses to die, because the deaths were real, the fear was real, and the mystery, that haunting possibility that an ancient king could reach out across 3 millennia, was far too gripping to ignore. The treasures Carter uncovered gave the world an extraordinary glimpse into Egypt's past. But the legend of Tutankhamun's curse gave us something else, a mystery that continues to echo through time, blurring the line between history and myth, science and superstition. Perhaps the most enduring power of the curse was not in death, but in story, a legend so captivating it still holds us in its grip a century later. History never dies, it just echoes.